Hejsan allihopa, välkomna, come on in. So today I'm going to tell you about my first attempt making traditional Finnish flat rye bread. Oh, it was a struggle. So as most of you probably know, I live in Japan and you can't just go and buy rye bread. There are actually, I found in one store that it sells like a German rye bread that is fully made out of rye flour. However, it's a little bit different from the one that we have in Finland, and I really miss Finnish rye bread. And I was planning on going to Finland this summer and stocking up. However, COVID, yes, I couldn't go and I couldn't stock up. So I was looking around trying to find rye flour, and you can actually find in Japan, you can find rye flour in some stores. They come in packets like this, for example. But this one is only 500 grams, and for the recipe that I made, for example, you need 2 kilos. So you would have to get 4 of these packets, which is not bad, and it's not crazy expensive, but still, it costs a little bit more than probably in Finland. So anyway, my mom was kind enough to send me some Myllyn Parasta rye flour, and I made some bread from that. And yes, let me tell you, it was a lot of work. I'm like, is it worth it? Yes and no, I don't know. I don't think mine came out the best. I can show you the bread because I'm sure you want to see what it looks like. Please don't judge me too hard, but this is the rye bread I made. So it smells like rye bread, it tastes like rye bread, but it is quite flat. So I'm wondering if something happened to my dough root. So when I decided to make my own rye bread, because I can't buy it here, I thought, oh, this is gonna be pretty easy. Boy, was I wrong. So I looked at the recipe, I was like, okay, I need 2 kilos of rye flour, so I need to find that, and I need water, salt, and dough root. Okay, that sounds easy. It was harder than I thought. So if you're interested to see how I made the dough and maybe comment on some mistakes I might have made, then please keep on watching. So here you have the dough root. I've been working on this for 6 days. It looks a little bit dry on top, but it looks like it's still doing good. And we need a deciliter of that, so 100 ml. I have a little cup here. So I'm just gonna quickly mix it a little bit. And in the bowl, I have 900 milliliters of water, so just shy of a liter. And we're just gonna put the dough root in here. And the water is like body temperature, so not like super hot, but warm enough. Let's just mix this. And then we'll start adding some rye flour. And you're supposed to make this into kind of a runny porridge. So you just mix it in and keep going until it's the right consistency. So now that we have this velli, however you want to describe it, you will cover it. And then you're going to put it somewhere for around 24 hours. It says up to 2 days. So I have a cooler that I put some hot water in to keep it warm. It's supposed to be like 25-30 degrees, and I'm just going to put this in there and keep it warm. And yeah, then we'll see how it goes tomorrow. Bread takes so long to make. Ta-da! So this is what it looks like right now. So it's been around 24 hours. I have taken it out a few times, added a little bit more rye flour, and then mixed it up. So now we're supposed to add some salt, which I have here, and more rye flour. So let's do that. So this recipe says 2 to 3 teaspoons. So I'm gonna do like that. Let's put the salt away and just mix it. So then we're supposed to add more flour. I don't know how thick the consistency is supposed to be because I've never made this before, so it's gonna be interesting to see how much flour we need. But they do say to reserve like 2 kilos of flour for this, so I might have to change my tools in a bit. Don't want to break the Mickey Mouse. Don't want to break him, so I'm just going to use a wooden spoon for the rest. So I'm going to give it a few minutes to see if the rye flour is going to thicken up a little bit more, because it does. You're supposed to add it little by little to see how thick it gets, and they say the looser the better the bread tastes, so try not to overdo the flour. But I've never done this before, so I don't know exactly what the perfect mixture is. Whew, that's hard work. Okay, I think it's having the right consistency because it's starting to let go of the edges of the bowl. It won't completely do that because it lacks something, the glutinous thing that you have in wheat, but let's flatten this out. Okay, now that it's flat, you're supposed to make a cross. I don't know how. I don't know if this is too deep, but okay. So now we're supposed to cover it up and put it in a warmish place for around 1 to 2 hours and let it rise. So when this pattern is starting to disappear, you know, it's risen enough. I don't know, I might have gone a little bit too deep because I don't have any pictures on how to make this, but yeah, I'm gonna put it in a warmish place where there isn't a draft, and let's see how it turns out. So it's been like an hour and a half. I don't know if I did something wrong because I feel like my dough hasn't risen at all. So yeah, that's interesting. So yes, I don't know if I've done something wrong because I feel like it hasn't risen much, at least. But we're still gonna try it. Or maybe it has and I just pushed it down a little bit too much, you know, because it does feel fluffy, you know. So if you're planning on making more bread in the future and you haven't yet taken some of this dough root to the side, this would be the time to do it. So I have this little glass jar and I'm just gonna put like approximately 2 deciliters in here and put it in the refrigerator and try to keep it alive. I don't know how well it's gonna go, but I'm gonna do that now. I'm sure this is gonna be too small, but you're supposed to put flour and then you're supposed to take the dough out. So we're supposed to add some flour to it, and I don't know. It says leivot taikina kiinteäksi kaksin käsin. I don't know how to translate that, but okay. I'm just gonna start working this until it's nice and firm enough. How firm it's supposed to be, I don't know, but let's see. Because now at least it's coming off my hands, it's not getting stuck so much. I feel like it's not that sticky anymore. So you can make this into 2 separate loaves or then 2 round breads with a hole in the middle, and I'm gonna make the round ones with a hole in the middle because I don't really care for rye bread loaves. I like the flatter ones. So that is what we're gonna make. Let's see. I'm trying to get them approximately the same size. As I said, I don't really know exactly how I'm doing and how they make these breads, but I'm just gonna do it this way and hope for the best. I'm trying to get them the same thickness, but yeah, you can definitely see these are homemade. So now we are supposed to let them rest for an hour. So yeah, another hour, and then we can finally put them in the oven, but I'll be back in an hour. So the bread have been resting for an hour. Voila. However, I don't feel like they've risen a lot. So I'm wondering if something happened to my dough root. I mean, it was bubbling and everything, but maybe they've risen a little bit. But these are supposed to be flat. This is a Finnish type of flatbread, so I'm gonna put them in the oven. But before you do, you're supposed to make some holes. Oh, I feel a little bit dry. So now you're supposed to put them in the oven for 20 to 30 minutes, and let's do that and let's see how they turn out. So I'm just gonna move. Oh, the oven is turned to 465 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, so there we go. And now we wait. So here we have the first batch. They're not the prettiest, but they will do. I actually had mine in for like 35 minutes, but it's because of my oven. I do feel like I have to cook a lot of stuff a little bit too long, or longer than the recipe says. And I did actually flip them over. So the bottom started to look pretty brown, but I felt like they needed some more time. And so I ended up just going whoop, because as you can see, they're quite dark underneath. So I just flipped them over. Sometimes when I make scones, I have to do that too. But yeah, this is how they look, and I feel like they're ready. They're not as pretty as the store-bought one, but you know, homemade, it will have to do. So yeah, here you go. I have the second batch in now. I'm probably gonna do 15 minutes and then flip them like I did with these in another 15 minutes. But yeah, now we just cover them and let them cool down. So as you can see, the bread did not come out perfectly and they're not the prettiest. But I mean, for a first attempt, I think it went okay. However, I feel like something happened to the dough root and it didn't bubble enough, because I feel like there's not enough of air bubbles in the actual bread. So I'm wondering what happened there, because it seemed to be flourishing when it had been sitting overnight in the cooler, and then I just don't really know. I felt like it was starting to get a little bit flat, and it was still alive and doing its fermenting thing, but yeah, it seemed to be a little bit flat. So I just have to give it another go, I guess. That's the way you learn. So the one thing I would say if you are planning on making your own rye bread or just bread with a dough root is have patience, because it's going to take a long time. It's a long process. I never realized, I mean, I've heard people talk about it, but I've never realized how long the process actually is. And I thought using yeast was taking a long time, so yeah, be patient. I mean, the bread didn't come out perfect this time, but it still tastes like rye bread and it still tastes good. So in that way, I'm happy. I just feel like it's a little bit flat, but I am going to give it another go. I just need to go and pick up more flour because I don't really have enough. This is not enough for making 4 rounds of that bread, but I'm actually going to freeze the leftovers, or not leftovers, but the bread, because it doesn't have preservatives, it doesn't last as long. However, I do feel like those, they usually would dry and then they would last a lot longer. Just I don't have a beam in my, house to make that. And to be quite honest, the humidity here might actually make them mold a little bit quicker maybe. So I'm just gonna freeze the ones that I can't eat quick enough, because my husband doesn't really like it. And I'm also maybe not too excited to have him try that, because I don't want him to have rye bread ruined for him, because it might be a little bit hard and or maybe a little bit chewy, but yeah. So if you enjoyed seeing me attempt making Finnish flat rye bread, then please give this video a thumbs up. If you want to see more of me, then please hit that subscribe button. I would love have you join this happy little bubble of the internet. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day, morning, night, wherever you guys are. And hopefully I'll see you guys real soon. Hej då!